blow the man down, please blow the man down.
Give me way, blow the man down.
Blow the man down, please blow him away.
Give me some time to blow the man down. We could open a bar on the 13th of May. Give me way, blow the man down. Like Gallagher jumping and give him a rain.
Every community of fishermen in the North Atlantic has handled the cold in different ways, and this is reflected in all the different fishermen's sweaters.
Some time to blow the man down.
I says to her, how do you do?
We wait, blow the man down.
She does no better for me.
The Isle of Guernsey in the English Channel has some of the most dangerous currents in the world. These waters have kept England safe for millennia. Their version of a fisherman's sweater is as distinctive and pragmatic as the people who live on this ancient, windswept island. Guernsey is the second largest island in the Channel to the Bailiwick of Jersey. It is 24 square miles and has roughly 64,000 inhabitants. Guernsey was part of the Duchy of Normandy until 1204, when it swore its allegiance to the English crown, and it is still a self-governing dependency. Although the temperature here rarely dips below freezing, with the driving winds and incessant rain, the dampness can feel frigid, attacking your core body temperature. Guernsey sweaters, or jumpers, originated in the 16th century and were made for fishermen and farmers by the mothers and wives at home. They featured tight-knit fabrics and moisture-resistant wool that smells strongly of lanolin. This worsted wool has strong, long fibers and, if the weave is tight enough, becomes windproof. The traditional color for these sweaters was solid navy, but other colors, including navy and white stripes, emerged. Breton red, the same color as the ship sails that would later inspire Nantucket red pants, finds a bold expression in these sweaters. The Breton stripes pattern originated in France and was adopted by the French Navy in 1858. The stripes were said to make sailors easier to spot if they fell overboard. Guernsey sweaters are known for their extreme durability, often lasting decades, and being passed down to the children. The examples I'm going to show you today are from a brand called Tricoteur, which was founded in 1964 by Robert McDougall. The reason that I like the sweaters made by Tricoteur is that they use the old-fashioned punch card machines for the weave of the panels. These sweaters are fully fashioned to suit a size, and then they're sent to a team of trained knitters who work in the comfort of their own homes. Each sweater requires 4 hours of knitting. They finish the gussets, shoulder seams, and necks, so each sweater has a bit of artisanal care and craftsmanship. These sweaters are also serviceable and can be mended. Even holes can be rewoven. The company is now owned by Rachel Linné, who wants to maintain its heritage and authenticity while expanding its appeal to a wider audience, including some stylish cropped versions for women, which my wife owns and really loves. Now, they do this without sacrificing a modicum of the traditional techniques. I discovered these sweaters in my travels in the UK and in doing research for the various articles that I write. I have no affiliation with them. This is just an ode to Tricoteur and these marvelous sweaters. There are many interesting details that make them very effective in their use and also very evocative of the history and culture of the island that produced them. So there are some important characteristics that make a Guernsey distinctive. Let's go through them now. First, and perhaps the most innovative thing about these are that they are symmetrical front to back, so you don't need to fuss about which way to put them on. In fact, you should try to alternate as much as possible to spread the wear. This was designed so that farmers and fishermen, which are very tough on their clothes, could get a lot more wear out of these sweaters by simply rotating them front to back constantly. In fact, you should try to alternate as much as possible to spread the wear. Personally, I just love the practicality of not having to worry about which side is in the front or where the tag is. Another interesting aspect of these sweaters are the various stitchings and patterns that emerge. You can see it in more detail where the seam meets at the shoulder. First, let's look at the garter stitch. The garter stitch symbolizes waves out to sea. And next to it we have a rib stitch, which represents fishermen's ladders. So each of these is coded with a design language. It's very evocative of history and the sea. So these two stitches meet again at the bottom of the garment, the sea and the escape from it, the dynamism of a pernicious ocean and the longing for safety, all encapsulated in knitting form in the structure and history of this sweater. The sleeves have the extended rib stitching that you could roll up to seal in the heat to keep wind from going up your arm and making you chilly and damp. It's also very helpful for cushioning your watch if you don't want the bottom to get too scratched up when you're writing or you have your hand on your desk. So it's just really nice for a bit of extra warmth, a bit of extra length, and to have that versatility. Another important detail are the diamond gussets under the arms for increased mobility. There is also a triangular gusset at the neck so that the neck doesn't pull and create gaps that allow the cold in. The cold can be fatal in a harsh environment. These sweaters also have a very comforting density and weight that almost feel like a hug when you put them on. They are also very dense in their stitching and feel very much like a substantial garment. Remember, these are working garments for the ceaseless cold and damp of the English Channel, so they can certainly handle your commute. The same water repellency in the tight weave and lanolin is excellent for wayward beer or the pearls of parenthood. My advice is to buy a navy to start, or maybe beige or light gray, something solid and traditional. This is a bit easier to rotate into your wardrobe. Personally, I also love the navy and cream nautical stripes. These are particular to the navies of the world. And they also remind me a bit of the sweaters that gondoliers wear in Venice. So I just love that whole association with the sea. And obviously I also have this one in Breton Red, which I just love. I love this color. It reminds me of Nantucket Red, and it's just a perfect red for winter, and it gives a bit of a pop of color to your darker shades that you're also wearing in winter. So let's speak a bit about how to wear this. The easiest way is with a pair of dark Levi's. I often put a long sleeve t-shirt underneath just to make it a little bit more comfortable on the arms and to give it even more insulation and warmth. Now, if you're a person who doesn't like the feeling of wool against their skin, I will say that this isn't as scratchy as many wool sweaters. I mean, it's certainly not merino, but it's very well finished. It's tight and dense enough to give it a bit of smoothness, but certainly putting something underneath would help and eliminate any of that chafing that you might get if you don't really like wool grating against your skin. Another look I really like is to wear this over an Oxford shirt or a Tattersall shirt. It can look really great in an office environment or out to dinner on a weekend. It's just a very nice, sophisticated look. See, I think there's something very understated about these sweaters. They just sort of show that you've traveled, that you've experienced the world, that you've made some interesting choices for yourself that's a bit off the mainstream, but nothing that looks outrageous or demonstrably different than what's out there, but is finished to a better degree and has a bit of artisanal flair to it. These sweaters also make for excellent insulation layers and can turn a garment like a barber jacket into a winter coat. And of course, these sweaters can be worn on their own depending on your tolerance for cold. I've personally gone down to 20 degrees comfortably just wearing one of these sweaters. And this living as I do in another cold and damp environment, New England. Okay, so they give you some sizing instructions on their site. They say to order 2 inches larger if you want a more tailored fit, and 4 inches larger if you want a looser fit. Now keep in mind that this is English sizing, so there's already a deficit, I think, in the sizing. Personally, I have around a 44-inch chest. This particular sweater is a 48, which is 4 inches larger than my chest size, and I feel like this is a pretty tailored fit. I don't know if I'd want to go 2 sizes smaller, but perhaps you would. But I would keep that in mind. Personally, I think about 4 sizes bigger than your normal chest size is probably right. One of the things I really love about this too is that Tri Couture is very fair with its pricing. If you're a smaller size, it's less expensive. It's 145 pounds at the lower sizes, and it goes all the way up to 195 pounds for a bigger size like me. So let's talk about this for a second. $250 for this sweater that is made on these old-fashioned weave punch card machines that are finished by hand from people around the Isle of Guernsey. I mean, if you bought a sweater that is a recreation of this by Ralph Lauren, it would probably be at least a third more, and it would be sourced in Asia. In this case, you're getting the real item, the real deal from the source, the inspiration for brands like J. Peterman and LL Bean and Ralph Lauren. So why not get the real item? Now, if you do want to save some cash, you can get the Rocaine version of these sweaters. These are made on modern machines. They don't have the artisanal neck or sleeves, but they are very fine sweaters, and you can save about 20–30% off the price. So that's another direction to go. Here are some very, very, very important care tips. Never hang a sweater like this on a hanger. It will stretch it out of shape. It'll put strange hanger marks in the shoulders. You should never really hang a wool sweater at any time for any reason. Also, and this might be controversial, but avoid washing it if you can. But if you do get some food on it, you do need to get that off of there. So what I do is I put a little bit of cold water in my tub. I put the sweater in, I push it down with my hands, and I use a little bit of light soap. And what I recommend is lanolin soap. Lanolin will preserve the natural lanolin that's already on these sweaters to give it their beautiful smell and water repellency. So just a bit of that, and I just press with my hands. Never wring, never rub, never scour. This can damage the fibers, make it fuzzy and awful. You just gently want to press and work that water through it. And then when you're done, keep it flat, keep pressing it, get all that water out, and then allow it to dry in a flat place. Now this is my most important tip: storage. So if you're not wearing this, even for the night, what I would do is I would put it in a Ziploc bag and then into a garment bag. Maybe throw some cedar chips in there. I live in New England. We have carpet beetles. We have moths. They can hit any house at any time. So if you truly want your sweaters to be pristine after spending money on them and taking care of them, then I suggest making sure that they are away, that there is no way that any little pest can make their way in there. When I wear these sweaters, it just makes me feel a bit more rugged, a bit more engaged with my world. I love having this history all woven into this garment. I love that it's part of the heritage of this household. That means a lot to me too. And I'm also becoming more and more attracted to these authentic products that are still out there. There are still some things that are made as they've always been made, that are made in a high degree of craftsmanship, that are made with a lot of love and not made to sell as many as possible, but just to the scale that they can support. And I am seeking these items out more and more and celebrating them, because you can buy copies of these everywhere and for more money. But why wouldn't you want the actual garment that fishermen have worn for hundreds of years, that smell of rich English wool, that are made by people in their homes in Guernsey and just have the mark of that incredible company, and even the fact that it's shipped in a potato bag, which is a lot of fun because I guess potatoes are a thing in Guernsey, which I didn't know until I got my first sweater, and there it was in a potato bag, which is really charming. So I would encourage you and invite you to live authentically, to buy interesting pieces and express your personality that way through your clothes, like you do every other way, your handwriting, your fountain pens, everything. So what do you think about the Guernsey sweater? Is this something that's in your wardrobe? Do you love them as much as I do? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I'd love to have you along for this journey with us. We go to a lot of different places, and if you want to support the channel even more, consider membership. We have a pen pal program for Illuminati and Cognoscenti members, so I'd love to have you behind the scenes as well. I make new videos all the time, and I have a live show, so we will see each other again very soon, further up the road. So take care.
We'll rise and we'll rove across the salt sea till we strike soundings in the channel of old England, from Hush and from sailing to Scilly for the first land we made was a point called the Dead Man. Next Ramshead off the North, Portland and Wise, we sailed then by Beachy, by Fairley.